You ever heard of a little show called American Idol? I'm guessing that you have.
This is the stage where singers become superstars. And this is American Idol.
And even though singing shows seem dime a dozen these days, what with The Voice and America's Got Talent and X Factor and The Four and Songland and duets and celebrity duets and Can You Duet and The Sing Off and The World's Best, Platinum Hit, P. Diddy Star Maker, Rising Star, Rock Star, Superstar USA, The Winner Is, Sing Your Face Off, The Masked Singer, and hey, since we're on a country channel, Nashville Star and Real Country as well. It wasn't always the case that singing shows were permeating the airwaves like this, and for a while, American Idol was so huge that it's kind of hard to fathom.
Dim the lights, Kieran, here we go!
The show premiered in 2002, and it became a pretty buzzy water cooler hit, but it blossomed into a true behemoth during its first decade on the air. And for 7 straight years, it was the #1 show on all of television. The show averaged over 30 million viewers week to week, and would regularly climb near 40 million viewers. You know how everyone's always talking about The Bachelor? Idol was always getting like 4 times as many viewers. Or let's take a huge television event like the Game of Thrones finale last year. Idol was getting about 3 times as many viewers as the final episode of Game of Thrones, just on a random Tuesday night. Sunday Night Football, which is regularly the biggest show on TV now, gets close to 20 million viewers. Idol could pretty much double that. If you're a young person now that feels like Idol is just a show that your grandparents might watch, I'm just trying to give you a sense of how big of a deal it was. It was cool, it was fresh, people liked it, everyone tuned in. It made major stars out of people like Simon Cowell, Paula Abdul, and Randy Jackson, who were the judges.
No, I think you're patronizing him.
I'm not patronizing him at all.
I do.
I am not patronizing. I just disagree with the way that you handled your criticism.
And it made even bigger stars out of some of the musicians that were on the show. Most notably, the winner of season 1, Kelly Clarkson herself. But it also launched the career of major recording stars like Daughtry, Jennifer Hudson, Fantasia, Philip Phillips. Idol actually produced stars, and that's something that most of the other singing shows that are on the airwaves never really have been able to do. While so many other shows focus on their celebrity judges and mentors and want their rivalry and banter to be at the center of attention, American Idol was always really good about putting the contestants first, at finding these diamonds in the rough and then polishing them up till they shined. And sure, all the built-in Ford commercials and the overly choreographed lip-synced dances could be a little bit cringy, but at its core, American Idol was a show about Cinderella stories that was hugely likable. And that was certainly the case in the country music world. And so today, because I loved American Idol, grew up watching it, I want to talk about American Idol's impact on country music, the stars that it actually produced, and the role that country music had in the show. So let's look at some of the country stars that have been launched out of American Idol. And obviously this conversation has to start with the single biggest star that the show has ever produced, Miss Carrie Underwood herself.
Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Why?
Carrie Underwood came into season 4 of American Idol all innocent and wide-eyed, not the glamorous vixen that we know today. She was just a simple country girl from Chakota, Oklahoma, who'd never been on a plane before. But it became very, very apparent early on in that season that she was going to be a breakout star. Simon Cowell even predicted it at one point.
Carrie, you're not just the girl to beat, you're the person to beat. I will make a prediction. Not only will you win this show, you will sell more records than any other previous Idol winner.
She had a really likable personality and just huge, belty vocals, and had standout performances with Alone and Independence Day.
I was only 8 years old that summer, and I always seemed to be in the way.
And ultimately, her winning single, Inside Your Heaven, which debuted at #1 on the all-genre Hot 100. And just to give you a sense of how big American Idol was again, the runner-up, Bo Bice, they just decided to release his version of Inside Your Heaven the next week as well, and it debuted at #2 on the Hot 100. I don't have to tell you how big of a star Carrie Underwood became in the country music scene. She's had smash hits like Before He Cheats and Undo It and Something in the Water. She has sold millions upon millions of copies of her albums. She's been the host of the CMA Awards for over a decade. She sings the Sunday Night Football theme every week for the NFL. And she has a huge successful fashion line with Dick's Sporting Goods called Kalia. That is their third highest selling fashion line behind Nike and Under Armour. Between all of her music, all of her touring power, all of her endorsement deals, Carrie Underwood is an empire in and of herself. But she's certainly not the only country music success story that came from the show.
Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Put some music on it soft and slow. And
Scotty
baby,
McCreery, the
we ain't got
deep-voiced crooner from North Carolina, won season 10 of American Idol. And although he has not reached the stratospheric heights of what Carrie Underwood has been able to accomplish, he has a quite healthy and thriving country career to this day. On the show, Scotty was known for his very Josh Turner-esque voice, and although Scotty got the initial wave of support after he won American Idol, his debut album Clear as Day went platinum, he didn't have such an easy road to success after that. I mean, first off, he went to college, he graduated from NC State, which is pretty rare to actually get a backup education in case the whole performing career doesn't work. And in that time, he also launched a follow-up album called See You Tonight, which spawned minor hits like the title track,
I'm coming over, I hope it's alright. Listen for me pulling into your
and another song called Feelin' It, but it did not live up to the sales success of his first album. A year later, Scotty McCreery dropped a single called Southern Belle that felt like he was going very bro country, which so had not been his vibe. It did not connect with the public, and he was dropped from his record label. And although that is the end of a lot of singers' careers, it was not the end of Scotty McCreery's. He came back a few years later on an independent label, Triple Tigers, and released his song 5 More Minutes that became by far the biggest hit of his career.
8 years old, couple cane posts, sitting down by the creek.
He followed that up with another song called This Is It, which also went to #1. And for an independent artist to get 2 back-to-back #1s on country radio is quite an accomplishment. And it's been cool to see Scotty McCreery come out of such a machine like American Idol and yet find his way as a sort of traditionalist in the mainstream and finding success with it. And although Scotty and Carrie have definitely seen the most success in the country music industry when it comes to alumni of American Idol, a ton of contestants have carved out really healthy, good music careers that tons of performing artists would be jealous of. Kellie Pickler kind of captured the nation's heart with her dumb blonde routine, and I do think it's a routine. I think she's laughing all the way to the bank.
Kelly, you are what's known as a naughty little minx.
What?
A naughty what?
A naughty little minx.
What's a mink?
And parlayed that into a real career. She's had hits with songs like Red High Heels and I Wonder and Best Days of Our Lives.
'Cause I'll be there in the back of your mind from the day.
I think she pivoted way out of the pop country space and made a much more rootsy record called 100 Proof, and has kind of gone from being this sort of dingbat wacky personality to someone really strong and charming and confident in her words. And finding that balance has served Kellie Pickler really well. She's won Dancing with the Stars, she's been a constant red carpet reporter for people like Ellen.
It was like, do you go all the way in there? Do you...
Go all the way in where? Next. All right. This is a family show.
She even scored her own talk show that ran for a few years called Pickler and Ben, and she's had a reality show on CMT. She's just sort of a personality within the country music space. I personally would love to see her music make a comeback. And then there's Josh Grayson, a notable contestant from season 2. America really loved this former Marine that was now trying to sing. He was a big, ripped dude with an awesome voice. And in his time after the show, he scored 4 top 10 country hits, most famously his kind of fast talk rapping one, Nothing to Lose.
Oh yeah, by the way she moves, she's got me rolling dirt in a white t-shirt, breaker 190.
Lauren Elena, who actually came in second place to Scotty McCreery, has carved out a great career for herself as well in the years since American Idol. Although she has yet to have kind of the defining breakout moment of her career, she's had a lot of success. I mean, she's had songs like My Mother Does and Road Less Traveled become hits. And and she is sort of the de facto girl to do a duet with right now in country music. I mean, she's done What Ifs with Kane Brown and This Town Ain't Big Enough with Chris Young, and now she's on Hardy's new single, One Beer. Lauren's got pipes, and she has maintained a high profile within the industry despite not having a ton of radio success in the past 6 years, and it's cool to see. She wouldn't have been able to do that without American Idol, and of course, her own talent. Bucky Covington only came in 8th place in season 5 of American Idol, which I would argue is the best season ever of American Idol. And for a few years after the show, he had a pretty solid radio career, racking up hits like A Different World,
It was a different world.
and A Father's Love, and my personal favorite that I covered in the Story Songs video, I'll Walk.
She said, "How long? Please don't hold my hand."
Kristy Lee Cook, who competed in the 7th season of American Idol and had some of my favorite moments ever on the show, despite always being in the bottom, one of which was her audition with the most beautiful modulation during Amazing Grace.
That saved a wretch like me.
And another which was just having the brazenness to sing God Bless the USA and basically challenge America to vote her out. And despite the fact that she was eliminated pretty early, American Idol was just that popular that it was enough to score her a record deal with Broken Bow. She ended up releasing a single called Airborne Ranger Infantry. That one was preceded by a really fun song that no one paid attention to called 15 Minutes of Shame. And now Kristy Lee Cook has taken some of her country cred and has become a host on Hunting Network. So she hosts a show called The Most Wanted List, which is in its 6th season, and she also hosted a show called Goin' Country. So it just goes to show that the platform of an entertainer that came from the show can be used in things other than music if the big mainstream music career doesn't work out for you. Casey James came in 3rd place on American Idol and again had one sort of successful album with 2 minor hits on it, Crying on a Suitcase and Let's Don't Call It a Night. Gabby Barrett came in 3rd place in season 16 of American Idol, and despite the fact that it seemed like the producers wanted her to win, crowds went for Maddie Poppy instead. But Gabby Barrett has capitalized on the attention in a major way, which is impressive because ratings for American Idol are not what they used to be. Starting around season 12, the show had a major decline in cultural relevance. So Gabby has had to work hard, but now she has this big song, I Hope, which is becoming a monster hit as we speak. And she's really establishing herself as sort of a Carrie Underwood for the next generation. I'd also be remiss not to mention Kelly Clarkson. Obviously, she's one of the biggest stars the show's produced and a huge pop artist, but she's always been a friend to country and has actually released a few country songs, those being Don't Rush and Tie It Up. She's also been featured on songs with Danny Shea, as well as Don't You Wanna Stay with Jason Aldean.
Don't you wanna fall asleep with me tonight?
She's also the daughter-in-law of Reba McEntire and has even recorded Because of You with Reba McEntire. So while Kelly has not been an official country artist, she's really had a country career that a lot of people would kill to have. Now, there's a ton of people I can't dive deep on that have released country music or been in the country world that have come from American Idol. I'm talking Diana DeGarmo from season 3. She's even played Dolly in a production of 9 to 5. Phil Stacey from season 6 had a small hit with If You Didn't Love Me. Brooke White from season 7 has carved out a cool niche of California country for herself.
Pocket of my jeans, it was made for your hand.
Danny Goki from season 8 actually had a whole country album that had some major hits on it before pivoting into contemporary Christian music. Michael Sarver from the same season had a few country songs he released. Crystal Bowersox from season 9 produced some great country music. Skylar Lane from season 11. Cree Harrison and Janelle Arthur from season 12, Jessica Muse and Ben Briley from season 13, Trent Harmon, who won season 15, was kind of shoehorned into country. He had a minor hit called There's a Girl.
Why would we drive 600 miles one way?
But we haven't heard much from him in the country world since. And then Caleb Hutchison, who I've actually talked about a little bit on this channel before. He was the runner-up in season 16 to his own girlfriend, Maddie Poppy, has released some really great country music, and I'm excited to see what comes from him next. I'm sure I missed a couple contestants, especially from the later seasons where not nearly as many people are watching American Idol. I think it's pretty impressive how much impact and how many artists and stars this show was able to produce. And this is where I want to pivot into what I think some of the impact American Idol had on the industry was, because I definitely think it sort of changed the pop culture landscape in myriad ways. Most notably, I think American Idol paved the way for other singing competitions as a viable way of entering the industry. There have been so many other competitions, and country music has really carved out a place within those competitions. You look at a show like The Voice, stars like Danielle Bradbury and Cassidy Pope, the Swan Brothers, they've all come from The Voice, and obviously Blake Shelton has been the breakout star judge of that show. And American Idol's success also opened the door for country-specific singing competitions. Stuff like Nashville Star, which was the first place we heard from Buddy Jewell, who sang Help Pour Out the Rain or Sweet Southern Comfort.
From Carolina down to Georgia, smell the jasmine and
That's where we met Miranda Lambert, Chris Young, Casey Musgraves. The list goes on and on and on. It's pretty amazing. I also think a major piece of impact the show had was the way it introduced music to young audiences. There are so many songs and classic country songs that I never would have heard if I didn't hear them first on American Idol as a kid. The first time I ever heard Always on My Mind was in season 3 when Fantasia sang it.
Maybe I didn't love you quite as often.
The first time I ever heard The Story by Brandi Carlile was when Lacey Brown sang it in season 9. There was so much music in the country and fringe country world that I found out about because of American Idol. And as much as the show gets kind of trashed for being this karaoke pop competition, I think you really can't underestimate how much exposure it gave people to new music. I learned about the Beatles, I learned about the Bee Gees from American Idol, and I think the same can be said for all the country nights that they had, all the country performers that brought their own taste to the show. Now there's a flip side that you could say that impact had as well. It established country as just another thing in the mono genre of pop music, and that is a criticism that many people maintain, that basically it just turned country into a subgenre of pop, whereas country, many people feel, should be distinct, but that's not how things worked on American Idol. You had to sing disco one week, Diane Warren songs the next week, and then movie soundtrack songs right after that. And some people would look at the sheer industry of American Idol, the fact that they brought in people like Scott Borchetta, who owns Big Machine Music, and Bobby Bones as a mentor, and big artists like Keith Urban, just being part of this machine-like nature of country music, fusing it with pop and making it less interesting in the process. That's a complicated debate. I'm not going to sit here and try to make it. I think that's probably reading a little too much into it, but it's definitely something that you'll hear. Carrie Underwood actually recently weighed in about that in an interview with American Songwriter, saying that she didn't realize how seriously people weren't taking her because she came from a reality show. And that there are a lot of people that look down their nose and think, well, you just came out of this big machine, when most of the contestants, if you listen to their interviews, are saying, American Idol is no conveyor belt to fame, it is freaking boot camp. All I can really say for sure is that the power of that show has been undeniable in the last 20 years. It has launched stars, it has been a major piece of the music conversation, and a major piece of the country music conversation. Shooting this video for me was a really fun walk down memory lane because I got to remember so many pieces of my adolescence and so many of the ways in which I learned about country music, I found performers I loved, I learned how to be a fan by watching American Idol. And outside the country conversation, just let me offer my little hot takes about American Idol as a whole. If I had to narrow it down to my top 3 contestants, I would put David Cook at number 3. I loved his voice and the way he rearranged songs. At number 2, I'm saying Elliot Yamin. Not only was he from my hometown of Richmond, Virginia, to me, he represented what made the show so special, which was taking an unpolished singer that wasn't ready for cameras and watching them blossom and turn into a viable pop star that's confident, self-assured, understands that they're good. And my number 1 most favorite contestant ever was Haley Reinhart. Haley Reinhart never got the respect she deserved when she was on the show and just kept turning in vocal after vocal after vocal. She grew when she was on the show. J-Lo, I remember all the crap you said about Haley, J-Lo.
I mean, you just have to showcase yourself to the best you can every time with songs that people are really, really gonna connect to and love. And I just want you to do that.
I mean, Benny and the Jets, House the Rising Sun, I Who Have Nothing. These are iconic American Idol performances from the Slayer that was Haley Reinhart with her growly voice. So good. And when it came to judges, here's going to be the hottest take ever. I think Cara DioGuardi was really, really underrated. I think Simon gaslit her for a whole season, making it seem like she didn't know what she was talking about, when she was this brilliant record exec that always got it right.
Because you just told me that you were a little bit annoyed that you had to wait 3 hours to come in here and get your shot when there are people that would wait years to do so. So I am now angry at you, who I don't like at all.
She knew what she was talking about, and Simon was just trying to undermine her because he wanted to make that dumpster fire of a show that was the X Factor and was already planning his exit.
Who was the one that clicked for you? Demi?
Well, next up, we have my final contestant from my group.
Demi!
So there you go, guys. This video is really just my little love letter to American Idol and the ways that it has changed country music. I know the show is not what it once was. I know it doesn't get near the viewers it once did. It doesn't have that kind of water cooler zeitgeist conversation factor to it anymore, but you know, things ebb and flow, and it wouldn't shock me if one day this show comes back. As Carrie Underwood says, I will see you again. And maybe we will see American Idol rise from the ashes and be the amazing show it once was. Or maybe media is just too stratified and in too many different directions for that ever to happen again. Who knows? Certainly not me. This is just a video I wanted to make, so go turn on some Kristy Lee Cook. Go look up a Haley Vaughn performance. That would be weird. But do something, enjoy yourself, watch American Idol if you care, and I'll see you guys soon with another video.